Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In this channel, I'm discussing a wide range of topics ranging from public speaking, storytelling, emotional intelligence, creativity, and much more. If these soft skills interest you, be sure to join the tribe by hitting that subscribe button right on below, hit that bell notification, and never miss another video again. In today's episode, we are entering the world of public speaking, and I'm going to be breaking down my blog, 6 Signs of a Boring Speech. It's a shame when you worked so hard on your speech, and here you are, putting the audience to sleep. They're yawning nonstop, they're whispering to their friends about something other than your speech, and they're just off in la la land. Your talk is not encapsulating them, and it's unfortunate because public speaking is one of those rare skill sets where you can entertain someone and you can educate someone. I know the speech is great when you're capable of doing both, and by understanding what not to do, you will learn what to do. So without further ado, let's get started off with the first sign that your speech is boring, and that is you're rambling. What do I mean by this? How do you ramble if you have been allotted a certain amount of time and you're satisfying that time? You're being too detailed. Whenever you're too detailed, what happens is that the audience is in their mind thinking, okay, come on, get to the point, right? We want to hear what the story is really about. We don't need you to stop and describe every single minuscule detail. And this is something where your judgment is needed. How do you exactly tell when you should be really detailed versus when you should keep it general? I have a very simple mantra. The mantra is that time influences details. So if you are given a 7-minute time span to deliver your talk, that's not really that much time. So since you don't have that much time, you want to keep this talk general. On the flip side, if you are given 7 days of time to give your talk, let's say you're hosting some sort of conference on a specific topic, then you could get as detailed as you want. The problem occurs when you can't distinguish between 7 minutes of material versus 7 days of material. If you cannot distinguish between the two, then what will happen is that you will just get caught up in all these little details and you will put your audience to sleep. That is boring sign number 1. Boring sign number 2 is that you don't use any analogies. The more technical the topic, the more that you need to engage with the audience by using analogies. This was a problem that a lot of engineers faced in my last company. There were these guys that were so freaking smart in what they did for a living, but whenever they had to talk about what they did in one of these group meetings, they were being so freaking technical. They were talking about PowerShell scripts, coding, system reboots, etc. And most of these other people, they didn't understand. And these engineers, rather than thinking, oh no, these guys are not understanding my talk, these engineers became prideful. They thought, well, these other guys should learn more about engineering so they can understand my talk. Nope, that is not how it works. In the real world, that is not their responsibility. Your responsibility is to demystify the topic and create some analogies. If you're explaining something like PowerShell, what does it really mean? If I were to talk about PowerShell, okay, that's how you automate a certain task. I would say something like, guys, picture you guys brushing. How annoying would it be if you had to always think about brushing? Wouldn't that be annoying? So what we do is we practice brushing so much that nowadays it's a habit. Since it's a habit, we have automated this skill set in our life and we have saved up so much time. Likewise, whenever we create a PowerShell script on something, we automate it. We save up a lot of time so the workers can do other tasks. Just like that, the public understands through the use of an analogy what the heck PowerShell scripting is. So you want to get in the habit of creating analogies. And one easy way to do that is assume that your audience knows nothing about the topic. absolutely zero stuff about the topic. And the more that you somewhat insult their intelligence by viewing them to be dumb, the better that your analogies will be. It'll just fall out. Okay, so boring sign number 3 is that you're monotoned. If you're over here speaking like this the entire time, then it doesn't matter if you're saying something breathtaking, it's still going to be perceived as boring. It's hard to be aware that you're monotoned, especially if you have a deep voice. If you have a deep voice, a lot of the times you're going to be monotone because your voice is already so deep. Other times, you don't have a deep voice and still you're monotoned. And in either one of these situations, no one is telling you that you're monotoned. So if no one tells you, how do you figure it out? I recommend that you build some awareness towards this by recording yourself talk more. Create YouTube videos whenever you're practicing through your speech, record it and watch it back. Whenever you're watching it back, if you're consuming it and it feels like something is missing, more often than not, it's your voice. If you think everything sounds fine, then you should be good to go. But if you feel as though, the story is great, the concepts are great, but something still feels like it's missing, it's most likely your voice. And one way to work on the monotone voice is to play the one-word game. This is when you're telling a story, and when you're expressing the story, you're saying one word at a time, and your goal is to breathe life into each one of these words. Don't talk in sentences yet. Just speak in one word at a time. And if you don't want to think of a story, you could just get a book and read it out loud. This is a fun exercise in order to work on your monotone voice. Let's see. Boring sign number 4, you self-sabotage. There was this one time when I was pledging for a fraternity, and one day a bunch of the people that were going to pledge, we got in this room, we had to hear a bunch of these lectures, and then the guy that was giving the lecture was like, hey, you guys don't get too comfortable because you're going to have to give a little talk yourself about who you are. As soon as I heard that, I was terrified because I just did not like public speaking at all back then. And it just made me nervous. So as they were talking, I'm over here overthinking nonstop. I'm thinking about what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? How long is my talk going to be? Different people are getting called to give the talk. And eventually, it's my name that gets called. I get on stage, I say, hey guys, my name is Arman Chowdhury. I am studying to be an electrical engineer. And what I want to do with this degree is I want to be an engineer with social skills, which is rare. As soon as I say that, the entire room busts out laughing. And as they're laughing, I'm like, yep, anyways, that'll be it. And I get off stage. And they're like, okay, I mean, that wasn't even a minute, whatever. And then they call on the next guy. Technically speaking, my speech was perceived as boring because I didn't give them the time to enjoy me. And this is what a lot of speakers do. They have a great talk, but they end it so quick because they're talking themselves out of it in their mind. You got to be aware of situations like this. Sometimes the audience is really enjoying you a lot. You could just tell, like, they're putting their phones aside, they're looking at you, they're like over here talking about, like, man, this guy's so good. And you want to give the audience a little bit more than they expected. Don't self-sabotage yourself. Don't quit so soon. Stay on the stage just a little bit longer, coexist with the nerves, and you will see that the nerves are meant to serve you, not deter you. Okay? Boring sign number 5 is you're not giving people enough time to laugh. I'm really surprised by how many people are just naturally funny. They don't try. And since they don't try, they have no clue that they're being funny. They'll be on stage, they're over here casually cracking jokes. As soon as the audience is laughing, these speakers are so freaking unaware that they immediately go on to the next point. And the audience is like, ha ha, he's already going on to the next point. And then they abruptly stop. And it's just not a good feeling, because if you're a speaker in this scenario and you get unexpected laughter, you just said something and the audience is laughing, this is a gift, right? And you want to treat it like a gift. You don't want to immediately jump onto the next point. You want to act as though that you were expecting this laugh. Oh, you guys are laughing? Yeah, I knew that you guys were going to be laughing. And you're letting them laugh. You're enjoying the moment. This builds your confidence more. The next line that you deliver, it's going to be more powerful because you made the audience laugh. The more that you allow them to laugh, the more that they attach endorphins to your talk, aka the feel-good chemicals within their brain. So give them the time to laugh, my friend. Don't rush them so much. Boring sign number 6 is you're standing still the entire time. And this one is tough because at times you're going to be at a presentation and the host specifically says, hey, stand behind the lectern. If you're going to stand behind a lectern the entire time, you really need to use your tonality and you really need to use your palms even more. If the host didn't tell you to stand behind a lectern and you're just choosing to stand in one spot the entire time, you need to take some risks. As a beginner speaker, you may not want to, but as you're giving more speeches, you definitely want to utilize more of that real estate. The more of the real estate that you utilize, the more that the audience builds rapport with you. And a simple way in order to utilize the real estate is to project a triangle in your mind, right? Take it on stage, and now you have a big triangle on stage, and just walk to each point at your own pace. This allows you to take up a good amount of the stage, and it allows your steps to be polished. So this is a great way in order to bring the audience in. So these are the 6 signs of a boring talk. And if you resonated with any of those, you want to definitely avoid doing that. And the more that you keep avoiding the wrong things to do, the more that you will stumble onto the right talk. Public speaking is one of those rare skill sets where you can educate and entertain. You don't just have to entertain. Like if you ever go to a wedding and you see a bunch of dance performances, those dance performances are simply entertaining you. But let's say you see a great best man speech that has brilliant storytelling, a brilliant character development, and talks about lessons in friendship. That talk is entertaining you and educating you. So view public speaking like that. It's a multifaceted skill that is going to make you a persuasive communicator over time. If you want to learn more about public speaking and you want to learn about it from A to Z, be sure to check out my book, The Speaking Wizard. Within this book, you are going to learn so much about brainstorming a talk, how to practice the talk from this very rough state, and you're making it more polished after each iteration. You're going to learn how to engage with the audience so they don't fall asleep and they're invested in your talk. And you're going to get a bonus section on Toastmasters where you're not just practicing in your room all the time. You could find a Toastmasters club near you and practice in front of them. Check out The Speaking Wizard in ArmaniTalks.com, hit shop, or if you're watching from TV, just scan this barcode right on here and grab your copy today. Level up your public speaking skills. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you next time.